Get ready to embark on an epic expedition through my imagination as I explore the Instagram-acclaimed Leweka Region within 3 new ongoing series here on my YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with these adventures, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course leave a comment down below to let me know what you think and what Pokemon you decide to capture on your adventures. And of course, please make sure to support all of the amazing voice actors featured in this video, as well as all of the talented artists I commissioned and worked intimately with to bring all of my ideas to life, as I wouldn't be able to take you on all these exciting adventures through my imagination without their help.
My dear niece and nephew, young Anaya and Chidi, please have a seat. Your Uncle Obasi would like to tell you a tale.
Uncle Obasi, if I may, if we are good, can we play with the starter Pokemon?
Yes, Anaya. Why, of course. In fact, if you listen carefully, one day I will gift you one of these 3 Pokemon so you can go on your ceremonial journey for the throne. The Grass Tribe Pokemon, Girut, the Fire Tribe Pokemon, Hisia, and the Water Tribe Pokemon, Jinfint.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick a seer. There's no other choice.
What do you mean? I think they're all so cute. I'd pick them all if I could.
It won't be long before you 2 are old enough to succeed your father as champion of the Leweka region. A role that, unlike other regions, comes with great responsibility as ruler of Leweka citizens. As king or queen, it'll be up to you to look after both the fine people and all the miraculous Pokemon that call Leweka home. And as you know, Leweka is by far the largest of Pokemon regions, so this is no small task.
Really? That's so cool.
Do either of you know why that is?
This is because Leweka is made up of what used to be 6 neighboring Pokemon regions.
Show off.
To the south, you have the Karoo and the Florofimboss of the Ukuvu region, painting the Cape's coast. Upward, you have the vast jungle and swamps of the Takati region. To the west, you have the sprawling savannas and wastelands of the Awago region. To the north, you have the ancient secrets hidden beneath the arid deserts of the Akam region. To the east, you have the Nakeup region's mountainous tundra surrounding Mount Mibanjaro. And last but not least, off the east coast, you have a miraculous island full of rainforest and wetlands, known as the Wikwa region. This is the legend of how the kingdom of Leweka was formed. To the unification of these 6 ancient regions thanks to our brave ancestors.
You mean the first Baobab?
Don't forget champion.
That is correct, young ones. This is also the story of how the Baobab Bloodline, our noble family, came into power.
Did the hero look like me?
Of course not. Don't be silly. Girls can't be heroes. He looked like me.
For the sake of this story, you can both imagine the hero however you please, but they looked like neither of you, as they were much older. Around the same age you will be when you finally set off on your ceremonial trials.
So they were 18 years old?
That is correct.
No fair. All other Pokemon trainers get their first Pokemon at 10 years old.
This is true, Chidi, but you aren't 2 ordinary Pokemon trainers. You are both of royal blood and heirs to the throne. As I said before, being champion of Leweka comes with great responsibility, so it's crucial you are both properly trained in our traditions and mature enough to handle this daunting role.
No wonder our father hardly has time for us. He's too busy doing king stuff and kicking...
Chidi!
I was gonna say Feebas. Has anyone ever beat our father, Uncle Obasi?
Not since he has taken the throne, but believe it or not, I've bested him before in the past.
If you say so, Uncle Obasi.
So, would you like me to continue with the story?
Yes, please!
Very well then. So, this legend starts long ago, right here in our own cozy village of Husa. Home to king and queens right beside the silly river that courses throughout the Leweka region, as well as the gates of Victory Road and the Temple of Champions. Just like it is today, Husa was a peaceful village filled with laughter of children and Pokemon. It actually doesn't look much different today than it did back then, with the same large huts our ancestors built, at least on the outside. The insides have clearly been updated to better suit the times.
Yeah, can you imagine life without TV or the internet?
Or air conditioning or plumbing.
As scary as that sounds, this was a time where most people were still scared of Pokemon and their divine power. Even those who were intrigued by their superhuman abilities worshipped them from afar. While most people in Pokemon lived in harmony, the relationship between the two wasn't as entwined as they are today. Only a few warriors, known today as Pokemon trainers, were fortunate enough to call upon the power of Pokemon. Using sacred tribe wands forged by the legendary Pokemon Elemage, a sorcerer and master of the 18 Pokemon tribes, or what other regions refer to as types, but we call tribes in order to create a greater sense of family between Pokemon of the same affinity. Anyways, the legendary Elemage scattered these wands throughout the 6 ancient kingdoms in order to create a bridge between people and Pokemon, as it saw the magic behind this union at the time, as it was seen as taboo.
What is taboo?
It means unheard of or even forbidden. Duh.
Yes, very good, Anaya.
Which kingdom are we from?
What a fine question. While Husa village sits at the border of the Takati region, our people come from the southern Okuvu tribe. However, you two also have ties to the Akam tribe in the north thanks to your mother, who comes from a royal bloodline. She is a descendant of the former pharaoh, Queen Amunet, who is actually a part of the story and around the same age you two are now.
Wow.
But that is later on. I've gotten a bit ahead of myself.
Does this story have Pokemon battling in it? Because I'm bored.
Chidi, he hasn't even really started. Please proceed, Uncle Obasi.
Very well then. Our famous ancestors sought to collect all 18 tribe wands, hoping that with the power of Pokemon, they'd be able to stand up to the 2 divine Pokemon that ruled over the kingdom of Akem, the kingdom that made up the northern hemisphere of Leweka. However, these 2 monarchs were unsatisfied and sought to conquer all 6 kingdoms, even if it meant eliminating or even enslaving mankind to have us do their bidding.
Well, that's not very ethical or nice.
I agree, but it was a different time back then. And if you think about it, it's not that far off from how we command Pokemon and have them serve our needs today.
But we love and care for Pokemon. Did they love the people?
No, in fact, they despised us, and you can't blame them if you think about it. They were the ones with real power, superior in every way, especially these divine Pokemon who could speak and even command other Pokemon, no different than us.
Whoa, now that's cool. I want to catch a divine Pokemon one day and show them who's boss.
Unfortunately, that won't be possible. These 2 divine Pokemon were sealed away by our ancestors, and a 3rd divine Pokemon, ruler of the afterlife, Osai River. As Osai River feared its peers' unquenchable thirst for power, so much so that with help from the unknown, it birthed the mysterious phenomenon known as rebirth. Breathing new life into fallen Pokemon after fainting, reincarnating them into something else entirely. Our ancestors used this arcane force to help defeat powerful, hungry deities.
So cool, we're like superheroes.
That was the general consensus. But who is to say where we'd be today if they didn't? A lot of our problems stem from the ignorance and the negligence of people. Maybe if Pokemon were still the ones in power, the world would be a better place.
I don't know. I think things are pretty great. Our father is pretty cool. He's the best king ever.
Perhaps you could be a better one, either of you.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I thought everyone loved our family.
Not everyone, I'm afraid. Now, back to the story. Our famous ancestors didn't need to use Elemage's tribe wands like everyone else at the time to command Pokemon. They were actually the very first trainers to house a Pokemon in an ancient artifact resembling the device we know today as a Pokeball.
But Uncle Obasi, that can't be true.
Now, the history books will say they were first created in a foreign region known as Hisui, or what you two probably know as Sinnoh. But recent discoveries have since proven that the earliest form of a Pokeball actually originated here in Leweka, created by a shaman far ahead of their time, Husa tribe's leader at the time, Nandi. Nandi was an excellent leader, wise beyond her years with a heart of gold.
She sounds wonderful.
She was. Legend has it she could see into the future, allowing her to lead the earliest tribe of people here in Husa without hesitation. Nandi is actually related to your good friend Zola and her father, Davu.
She is not my good friend. She is my BFF. Best friend forever.
No one asked. And she's too old to be your friend.
She is not that much older than us.
Yes, she is.
No, she isn't.
Regardless, she's a very bright young girl who's already made a legacy for herself here in the Leweka region with her innovations. Now, back to her ancestor. Much like Davu, who is currently the Psychic-type gym leader here in Leweka, Nandi could summon Psychic-type Pokemon using the Psychic Wand, with a noble and nurturing Nightmarak as their trusted guardian.
That is a scary Pokemon.
No, there is no such thing as a scary Pokemon, and don't let anyone try to convince you otherwise. Nightmarak is the Dreamweaver Pokemon, and its sleep-inducing webs are said to capture the bad dreams of those tangled in them, which it then feeds on.
So, it keeps the bad dreams away by eating them.
Precisely.
That doesn't sound bad at all.
As long as it's not eating me.
I cannot imagine a scrawny lad like yourself would taste very good.
Hey, I'm in peak shape for my age.
Uncle Obasi, I'm confused. How did people keep track of all the Pokemon without a Pokédex?
Another great question, darling. They kept records of the Pokemon they encountered on tablets made of wood or stone, although some ancient drawings suggest that our great ancestors were gifted with a magical device known as the Elemage watch, resembling the Rotom watch the citizens of Leweka use today to register Pokemon to their Pokédex.
Yeah, that makes absolutely no sense. There was no technology or smartwatches back then, so that just invented the Rotom watch a few years ago.
It was said to be another creation far ahead of its time, birthed by leader Nandi thanks to her visions of the future, as she claimed to have got the idea directly from the legendary Pokemon Elemage. I also think it's no coincidence it was created by an ancestor of your young BFF, Zola, who, like Nandi, is gifted with a beautiful mind.
More like a big mouth.
Hey!
What? She talks too much.
Chidi is just mad because he likes her.
No, I don't. I think she's annoying.
Sounds like you two already have something in common.
Now that you mention it, maybe Zola is familiar with this tale and it's what inspired her invention. Or maybe Nandi saw a premonition of her ancestor's device and that's what inspired her to create the Elemage watch. Oh, it is quite the paradox if you really think about it. Anyways, this arcane device served the same purpose as the modern-day Pokédex. The first 3 Pokemon encountered by our famous ancestor on their journey were found here in Husa village, with help from the tribe's very own Professor Acacia. Said to be an ancestor of a gym leader in the Unova region, Lenora, and our very own normal gym leader here in the Leweka region, Jembe. Acacia even shared the same ace Pokemon as his descendant Jembe, the drum tortoise Tortempo, using the power of Elemage's normal tribe wand.
I saw a Tortempo once.
Yes, it was djembes at one of Dad's celebration festivals. We played percussions like drums too.
How wonderful! Acacia even held musical celebrations throughout the Husa village back then as well, inspiring the ones we have today. Jembe's ancestor, Acacia, was essentially a Pokemon professor, much like myself, as he too was fascinated by the mysterious surrounding Pokemon. At a time when many people didn't think to question their superhuman abilities. In fact, most chose to blindly worship Pokemon from afar for this very reason.
I bow down to no one, let alone a Pokemon.
Acacia also had shared an interest for ancient artifacts, much like his descendant Lenora, as he was determined to unlock their true potential. Anyways, Acacia looked to our brave ancestor to help him learn more about Pokemon, as they scoured the 6 kingdoms in search of all the tribe wands, passing on whatever knowledge he already had to help aid our ancestor on their quest. It was this quest for the tribe wands that eons later ended up inspiring the ceremonial Leweka League Challenge for the crown, as the collection of the 8 badges are meant to honor and symbolize the collection of the tribe wands.
Then, why are there only 8?
Another great question, Anaya. There actually used to be one for every tribe, spread evenly throughout the 6 regions. But not that long ago, the King's Royal Council, or Elite Four, decided to scale the ceremonial challenge down in order to be more in line with the Pokemon leagues in most regions. They encouraged citizens and even foreigners to participate in this challenge for mere sport, as a way to honor Leweka's rich history and traditions. But, as you so know, only those of royal blood such as yourselves will be crowned as champion after completing the ceremonial gym challenge, as it's believed only to those raised here on these traditions and trained on how to properly rule can carry on the overwhelming responsibilities that come with this coveted title.
Yeah, the crown doesn't belong on mere peasants.
Chidi!
Young Chidi, that isn't how a king talks about his subjects.
I'm sorry.
The 3 Pokemon of our ancestors first encountered were Grookey, Litten, and Totodile. Pokemon that sadly cannot be found in the Leweka region today, but are still thriving in other regions. How they got here in the first place is still a mystery, but many scholars believe they were put here by the mythical Pokémon Elemage to help our hero on their journey. While the hero started with one of these 3 Pokémon, they eventually crossed paths with the other 2 Pokémon after completing their quest.
That's great to hear, because I'd never be able to select one. They're all too cute.
However, while they each evolve normally into their secondary stages, these 3 Pokemon's final stages look much different back in the day. The foreign grass tribe Pokemon, Grookey, would often be found climbing trees or on top of the village huts, getting into trouble with its sun-absorbing stick. The stick Grookey holds is used to beat on tree stumps, stones, and various other surfaces, such as the drum shell of Perka Shell to produce music. Its evolution, Thwackey, skillfully uses its sticks not only for drumming out rapid beats, but also pummeling opponents during battle. It was no doubt a useful ally to our ancestor, and during this time period, Thwackey evolved into a Kuvian Rillaboom. Using its wooden staff, it can spiritually entangle itself with all the surrounding plant life, rapidly accelerating new growth. In addition to being a powerful part of the grass tribe, this ancient variation of Rillaboom was also a respected member of the psychic tribe as well, with its own unique move Jungle Mojo, which awakened the might of the jungle as its vine sprung to life, lowering the target's speed as they struggled to escape its clinches. Even the most formidable of foes would often become drowsy due to the spores produced by this attack. This Pokemon was deemed the shaman by the people of these ancient regions, due to its spiritual abilities and the power to create new life. The foreign fire tribe Pokemon Litten was often found scrounging around the village's huts in search for food or shelter. This hot-headed Pokemon isn't fond of human attention, but once warming up to someone, is quite the cuddly companion, especially on a cold night. Litten evolves into Torracat, a fierce Pokemon that any trainer would be lucky to have by their side. At its throat, it bears a bell of fire. The bell rings brightly whenever fire spews out, but for reasons unknown, it once evolved into a Kuvian Incineroar, a formidable member of the fighting tribe. Okuvian Incineroar engulfs its fist in scorching hot flames as it unleashes a series of savage fiery strikes at its adversaries. This ancient variation of Incineroar was a fierce member of the fighting tribe, earning itself the reputation as the warrior, as it was easily one of the region's top predators at the time, capable of unleashing a fiery attack of its own, Ferocious Fire Bash, which used its flaming fist to unleash a fiery fury of powerful punches, lowering its prey's attack, as they were often too wounded to retaliate, and those who were strong enough to take it were often left burnt. Last, we have the foreign water tribe Pokemon, Totodile, who was found in Husa village splashing around in the adjacent river. Due to its erratic behavior, Totodile, merely looking for a playmate, would often scare off flocks of chibi and other wild Pokemon hanging out by the water's edge. And for good reason, given how powerful its jaw is. But, strong as Totodile's bite is, its evolution Croconar's bite is even stronger. The tips of its fangs are slanted backwards. Once those fangs clamp down, the prey has no hope of escape. And if you thought Croconar was nasty, wait until you see it evolve into the ruthless Ukuvian Feraligatr. This ancient variant of Feraligatr was a feared member of the Dark Tribe. Horrifyingly vicious, by the time its unsuspecting victim spotted it lurking in a body of water, their fate was already sealed within its bone-crushing jaws. This is because those who are unfortunate enough to cross paths with this revered beast would be attacked with its signature move, Marshland Maw, which would have the ground beneath its target turned to bog, lowering the victim's defense as it maliciously maws at them with its monstrous jaws. Even the victims that made it out alive were often left defenseless against this Pokemon's vicious attacks and potentially poisoned. This Pokemon invoked so much fear within the Six Kingdoms that it became known as the Man-Eater Pokemon. Even the toughest of trainers fell victim to its bloodthirsty bite. But for whatever reason, our ancestor was able to command this monstrous Pokemon.
I would have been able to as well.
I like to believe that to be true. All 3 of these variants have gone extinct, and these 3 evolutionary lines haven't been spotted in Leweka since.
How sad.
Very sad indeed. We share this planet with Pokemon. The least we can do is help them maintain it. Speaking of these starter Pokemon, are you familiar with the ancient rebirth phenomenon that has resurfaced here in the Leweka region over the last century?
Yes, vaguely. I know that it is still rather rare though, as it involves ancient treasure.
That is correct, young one. Back at the time of this tale, the rebirth phenomenon was just birthed, And our ancestor was not only one of the first to use it, but had to face several rebirth Pokémon on their journey, as well as in the form of a formidable monarch Pokémon, each ruling over one of the 6 kingdoms in service of the true kings, the 3 divine Pokémon.
So it sounds like they were more like servants.
More like generals.
In a sense, but these monarch Pokémon were certainly feared by the other wild Pokémon found in their dominion, especially after being resurrected into their powerful new rebirth forms. And like gym leaders Jembe and Davo, their ancestors' ace Pokémon were capable of the rebirth phenomenon as well.
So, how does it work exactly?
Oh wow, son, little Miss Know-It-All doesn't know.
Like your sister said, rebirth is quite elusive, only used by the elite today. So its secrets and even existence are a mystery to most. However, you two are royalty after all, so I'd be happy to tell you how it works.
Yes, please.
Just make sure to keep it short and sweet, or at the very least, spice things up with a little more action.
Fear not, young chitty. I have merely set the stage, for there's plenty of action to come. But the rebirth phenomenon is a vital part of this story, and your potential future as king or queen of Leweka.
Ignore him, please. Continue, Uncle Obasi.
Using ancient artifacts, Pokemon are giving a second chance in battle after fainting, as they are resurrected with new abilities. Some Pokemon are even reincarnated into powerful new forms, unleashing their true potential of their given tribal element, whereas others will evolve into new arcane evolutions immediately after being reborn. Plenty of Pokemon are capable of accessing both these temporary rebirth forms or evolving through the power of rebirth, many of which will be a part of this story. In fact, the starter Pokemon used by our ancestors had powerful rebirth forms, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll get more into that later.
I can't wait.
I've seen Dad's rebirth acting before.
It's so cool.
The resurrective power of rebirth is a real game changer, that's for sure. You see, children, normally reviving a fallen Pokemon takes time through an item or Pokemon's move. But with these ancient artifacts, the revival is instantaneous. However, the artifact vanishes afterwards, which is why so many people come to Leweka in search of these ancient treasures.
How fascinating! I hope to one day see one of my Pokemon channel the power of rebirth.
Me too.
I am sure you will. Leweka's 3 starter Pokemon all have a rebirth form, and I'll let you in on a secret. You will be offered a soul Ankh after starting your journey for the throne.
So, what happened next?
I thought you'd never ask.